Even when we walk through the valley of sadness, you, Lord, will draw us close with an everlasting comfort. You heal and restore our broken hearts. October 2017 was a big month for Mattie Jackson, daughter of country music artist Alan Jackson. Her fairy tale wedding on the Jackson family estate in Franklin, Tennessee was featured as the cover story of the summer-fall issue of Southern Bride. But less than a year after, she married Ben Selecman, an assistant district attorney in Nashville. Ben died unexpectedly when he slipped and suffered traumatic head injuries. Today, God is leading her down a new journey. This is her story of unshakable faith. This is today's Nashville. Mattie, thank you so much for inviting me into your beautiful home here in Nashville. What an honor it is to sit down with you, and boy, you have been through an amazing journey.
Yes, well, I'm so glad to have you. I'm glad it worked out and we finally got to sit down together after a crazy COVID rescheduling, and God's timing is right, so I'm glad we're here.
It is. So I want to take you back to growing up in a famous family. So tell us who your dad is and what it was like growing up.
Yeah, so my dad is Alan Jackson, singer-songwriter, and, ACM winner, CMA winner, Grammy, all the things. And, it sounds kind of silly to say, but, for me, it was the norm. It was what I knew my whole life. And, my parents are from a small town in Georgia and moved here 5 years before having me. And, he struggled and did all of the Nashville things that you have to do to get a break, and they were really resilient, and he ended up getting his record deal in 1989, the year before I was born. And even at that point, I remember Mom telling the story and kind of joking but kind of in tears, calling his business manager when they found out they were pregnant with me and asking her if they had enough money to buy me a crib. It was...
So you're the oldest?
Yeah. So it was truly on the brink of his career really booming that they had me, and it's been history from there. So I say that to say, it's all I've ever known, literally. So, for me it was normal, and I will say to their credit, they kept our lives as normal as it could be, and I think that is a testament to how they were raised, and just both of their humility. That is probably the quality I've always admired the most in my dad.
Well, I heard a story not too long ago. I was sharing with a neighbor who's disabled in our neighborhood, and she walks every single day. And she's about your age, and we were talking about what I do, and I told her who was going to be on my show, and she said, I know Mattie. She said, we played baseball when we were little girls, and she was so sweet to me. And she said the other kids would make fun of me, but Mattie never did. And I just thought, I am going to tell her that,
that's amazing.
Isn't it sweet?
Yeah.
So that says a lot about you and how you were raised. A lot of people think it's, you come to town, instant success, right. But it isn't.
Oh gosh, no. No, they labored, and he put in the work and got a God-given break, and we have benefited our entire lives. And I think something that, they've just impressed upon us is that, this was something that Dad worked really hard for, and he obviously has an incredible talent, but, it was truly by the grace of God that he got the break that millions of other people don't. And so I think because of that, they wanted us to know how privileged we were and the opportunities that we would have to help other people. But, I played softball and soccer and basketball like everybody else, and went to school like everybody else, and did the same things, all my friends did, because that's the kind of life they wanted us to have. And even still to this day, Dad jokes, should I have raised y'all in a small town just to give you the experience we had? And so they've stayed so true to their roots. And I think to have grown up and looked back, I now realize and respect and value the way that they raised us so much more, because I see other, children of celebrities and sort of entitlement, which is very easy to fall into. And, I'm grateful that that wasn't the environment that they raised us in.
When did you know that you were famous? Your family was famous. When
I'm famous.
No, when did you know
Yeah, sure.
that you knew that you had a
we were
famous family? Okay.
Yeah, sure. I remember pretty specifically in, I want to say probably first or second grade, doing like, I don't know if it was show and tell or like it was a certain where you bring something to school week, and Shark Week. It was Shark Week, like it was the letter S, so I picked shark. And I brought in an entire whole mounted shark that my dad had caught like on some fishing trip in Hawaii or the Bahamas or something as my show and tell. And I remember like
not a Grammy, a shark.
Yeah, his manager like carrying this huge animal and fish in there and being like, yeah, this is just what dad does when he's not working, and just being like, okay, no one else is bringing a whole shark into here, and just being like, okay, well, our lives are different. We get to do some really cool things that other people don't do. And then, as a teenager, we were privileged to go to the White House my senior year and be a part of a dinner that normally they don't let kids under 18 into any formal event at the White House. And my dad had played a show, Christmas in Washington, and I remember later him telling us, that he had his manager call the White House and say, if my girls can't come, I'm not playing. And so I remember that
so
point
sweet.
very specifically too, being like, A, this is the kind of man he is, and B, this is, like, there's a lot of successful artists out there, but this is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. So it's you and two sisters?
Yes, I have two younger sisters.
So tell me about your later years as a teenager, and did you go on to college?
Yeah, so I went to college at the University of Tennessee and studied creative writing there, and didn't really intend to, but sort of, always loved school and loved reading and writing and stories, and grew up, with a songwriter as a father, and I think was sort of always drawn to people's stories as you are and you understand. And it was a funny thing in school. I just started studying communications, and then Dad had a song that they were going to make a video for, and he said, I think I was 19 at the time, maybe. And he said, you're creative. You're like studying English and communications and stuff. He goes, why don't you write a treatment for this video I've got to shoot? And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, I'll send you some examples. The label wants, some different ideas, and look at the format and just like kind of replicate it. So I wrote it, and he sent it as part of the, suggested options to his label, and didn't tell him that it was me who wrote it. And they ended up picking it, and I got to fly to Tampa to watch them shoot this video that I wrote. And it was this really poignant moment for me where I was like, this is what I want to do. These words become reality, and, you have power to tell stories and power to affect people's lives in the way that my dad has always done through songwriting. And so that was what sort of really put me in a place where I wanted to tell other people's stories, tell my own story, because I knew that it was powerful.
And you have quite the story to tell.
I do, and it's not the story I ever planned on telling.